everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. And oh boy, yesterday was a pretty exciting day for Wheel of Time fans. It was the first night, Thursday evening, of San Diego Comic-Con, and while normally all the big stuff doesn't happen until much later, Wheel of Time had some very, very big news drop last night. There was a panel centered around the Origin series, and Daniel Henney and Rafe Judkins, the showrunner of Wheel of Time, were there along with Remy Park, who was one of the writers and producers in Season 2. And they answered a ton of fan questions. They released a bunch of information, and we're going to talk about all of that today. But this will not be the only video with San Diego Comic-Con. I'm going to have to do 3 videos. So we're going to talk about the panel in today's video, the things that were said there, the AMA they gave there, the information that came out. Then we're going to do a second video, probably tomorrow, on Rafe's AMA on Twitter last night. And Rafe was drinking just a little bit before supper, and gave away a ton of information, talked to a bunch of the fans, answered a bunch of questions, including some of my own, and yeah, gave us a bunch of information about Season 2. Watch for that video in the coming days, and I'm also going to do a video on that behind-the-scenes teaser that they released for Season 2. There is a ton to unpack there. That's going to be a really long one, probably take me a couple of days to do. So that's a good segue into this. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. We cover a ton of Wheel of Time stuff here in the channel. And if you like anything and everything related to the show or the book series, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because you don't want to miss the next few videos I have coming out. Now, all of that being said, I have to give a spoiler warning because we're going to talk about certain elements of Season 2 today. Spoiler warning, if you have not watched the first season of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show, that's the first 8 episodes, and read at least the first 3 books, that's The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and The Dragon Reborn of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, be forewarned, I'm going to ruin major plot points, minor plot points, and character arcs from all of that. Alright, that being said, let's get on to the video. So the Origins panel happened Thursday evening at San Diego Comic-Con, and we've known about it for a while, but we didn't really know what was going to happen there. I, like most other people, kind of assumed they would talk a bit about the Origins that were released with Season 1. And if you don't know what they are is they're short animated shows put on Amazon X-Ray that explained certain things that happened during the history, certain notable events, objects of power, different things like that. The One Power itself, they explain things that the average viewer would not know if you had not read the book series. Now, during the first season when I watched it with a bunch of people who hadn't read the books, and there was a lot of questions because the show itself didn't answer any of these questions. They just kind of assumed that either people would know or that they would watch the Origins stories themselves. Now, I will tell you that Rafe Judkins has gone on record to say that they are almost considered required viewing at this point. So if you want to watch the second season of Wheel of Time, you should watch the Origins from the first season and the new ones that are coming out. So this particular panel, they did announce that in August, we're getting brand new Origins, which is absolutely amazing, blows me away. They showcased a couple of them, including young Lan. So when Lan was very young, he's still in Malkir, the things that were going on, all of the history behind that. They actually showed this at this particular panel, and they are some of the ones that we're going to start seeing in August. And I think this is what Rafe Judkins was talking about in the last couple of months when he said that we're going to get small tidbits to tide us over until the show releases. I think the Origins are some of those tidbits. And like I said, they're pretty much considered required viewing if you haven't read the books because it explains a lot of things that are going on that maybe the show won't. So I will let you folks know that they were some of my favorite parts of the first season. Absolutely some of my favorite parts of the first season. They're very well done. They're well written. They're animated absolutely spectacularly. They're beautiful to look at, and there's a lot of really good information in them. So if you haven't seen them yet, go onto your Amazon app, go to the X-ray version, X-ray portion of the Wheel of Time, scroll down. You're going to see the Origins there. Go through the Origins and watch those particular clips. They're phenomenal. Now, I will say, the Wheel of Time community really came together in this one. So we have a couple of different people I want to give shout outs here too. First one is Sid the Third. Now Sid the Third is a fan of the channel, and he's also a member of Twitter Time and a huge Wheel of Time fan. He was actually at San Diego Comic-Con with his wife, and they got seats 4 hours early for this panel. So they went into the panel, they were sitting down 4 hours prior to the start of the panel so they could get a good seat so they could take pictures and video, which they sent to me. You're going to see some of the pictures here in today's video. And as a treat, he's trying to get to me the entire video of the panel, so in the coming days you may see a full recorded version of the panel here in the channel. A little intro by me, of course, but full credit to Sid for all of that. During the panel, he was sending me messages saying this is what's happening, this is what they're talking about, and it was really cool because it was almost like it was there, and I want to thank Sid so much for that. And again, I've left a link to his Twitter handle down below in the description box. You folks, if you like this sort of thing, please send him a message. Say thank you so much for doing this, because without people like Sid, we would not get to see a lot of the stuff firsthand. We'd have to wait till the official accounts kind of retweeted it or kind of filtered it through articles and things like that. But with actual Wheel of Time fans there that are willing to engage the community, we get the stuff much earlier, and we get a lot of the hype too. A lot of the excitement comes through. So send Sid a thank you note, and follow him on Twitter, of course. Now, another big shout out to Talitha Sadai. Now, Talitha Sadai was also at the panel, another Twitter of Time member last night, and they transcribed the entire AMA. I'm not going to showcase it here, probably near the end of the video. We'll talk about all the questions and answers that Rafe and Daniel Henney gave to the audience that were there, but they actually took them, wrote them all out in Twitter, and there's a whole Twitter thread on it. So I've left a link to Talitha Sadai's Twitter handle and that thread down below in the description box if you folks want to read it. But if you don't want to read it, I'm going to show it here in the channel. We'll talk about it. I will read it, of course. So if you're doing the dishes or driving or something else where you can't actually physically watch the video, don't worry. I will read off those questions and answers. But a big thank you to Talitha Sadai. And please send them a thank you note. Follow them on Twitter. Engage with both of these people. Talk about Wheel of Time with them. I mean, aren't Wheel of Time fans just the best? I mean, it's the best community I've ever been part of. Everyone really tries to look out for one another. Everyone really, really loves the Wheel of Time, loves the show, loves the books, and it's just a lot of excitement to talk with people like that. Now, this Origins panel we're going to talk about here, it was pretty neat. There's a lot of information that came out of it, but leading up to it, we got a couple of different teases. This one was by Rafe Judkins, and talked about Rami Park. Now, Rami Park was one of the writers for the Origins and a writer and a producer in season 2, and this is a neat picture of the White Cloaks that Rafe put up on his Instagram, and Rami's with them with the sword and the shield. Now, I'd give my, I'd give anything pretty much to have some of that costume. I mean, can you imagine that in a glass case behind me here? The costumes are absolutely immaculate for the second season. But Rami answered a bunch of questions and was involved in the panel. And then Daniel Henney, of course, had to hype it up and showcase look at this. It's a Wheel of Time wrapped bus that they took to San Diego Comic-Con. Absolutely cool, super amazing. I know I'd be pretty pumped to see that driving around the city up here in where I live, but they'll never be here. But really cool. They hyped it up quite a bit. And they gave out some information. So we do know that Origins is restarting in August of this year. So like I said earlier, this is probably going to be the tidbits that Rafe Judkins has talked about that we're going to get in between the first and second season to keep fans engaged. So these tidbits are going to be new origin stories. Now, they're pretty much considered required viewing, and they're going to showcase a bunch of different stuff. Now, on this panel, they showed 2 of them, including a young Lan. So when Lan was very young in Malkir, that was one of them they showed, and the fans absolutely went nuts for them. They were really super amazing. So they're going to start showing up on Amazon in August, and that'll be sort of a way to tide us over until the second season drops, probably sometime next year. I, for one, can't wait to see brand new origin stories. Now, the second thing they talked about was this. Wheel of Time was renewed for the 3rd season. Now, this is official, of course, so they actually did get renewed, and a lot of different publications like Deadline, TV Line, different things like that, very big major publications, put these articles out almost immediately. So this wasn't something they heard from the con and then wrote something up and put out. They definitely had this information a long time ago. They were under media embargo, and they couldn't release it all at the same time, or at the time, but now they're releasing it, when it was announced. Now, we had hints of this. We knew there were rumors of season 3 being greenlit, but nothing official. Now, I know actors and actresses that had contracts extended for the 3rd and season and beyond. I've also known that a couple of other people, including Daniel Henney, were having conflicts with other shows they were doing, and that was talked about in the news. So we all kind of figured it was greenlit for season 3, but there was a lot of dissenting voices out there that said that there's no way they'll greenlit this for season 3. A lot of people considered the first season a flop and a failure, even though it really wasn't in any way, shape, or form. And that's mainly because they didn't like the show, and that's fine. It's okay not to like the show, but it was a huge success. You can't deny that. It was one of the most streamed shows of last year. It was one of the biggest hits ever for Amazon. It made them a ton of money, even if they don't have merchandise out right now. But absolutely a huge success, and prior to even season 2 coming out, they've greenlit season 3, so they're writing it right now. They're getting ready. There's no word on when they're going to start filming yet, but hopefully we'll see that in the coming weeks and months. We'll get a little bit of information on filming, and maybe we'll get some more leaks of what's going on in season 3. Now, they did mention that season 3 is going to center heavily around the Shadow Rising, which is one of my favorite books in the Wheel of Time series completely. And in fact, Perrin's storyline where he revisits the Two Rivers in that book, Absolutely amazing. Best storyline. Well, maybe not the best storyline, but one of the best storylines in the entire series, in my opinion. And that's what season 3 is going to center around. And that's really, really very exciting. Now, before we get into that AMA, there was one other thing that came out of the con last night, and that was this. BADALI Jewelry used to, quite some time ago, have a contract to make Wheel of Time jewelry, including the Legacy Aes Sedai rings. These are based on the books, not the show, of course, so these don't look like the rings in the show, but they look like how most people envision the rings in the books. And yeah, so they announced at the con that they do have the contract to re-release, I guess is the best way to put it, their Legacy jewelry line. So now you'll be able to order and get new Aes Sedai rings from BADALI Jewelry. I'll left a link to their website down below in the description box if you folks want to order some of those rings. I missed out on them the first time. I'm definitely going to be ordering one of these. All right, let's jump into that AMA. All right, so the AMA, and this comes to us courtesy of Talitha Sedai. Again, you can see their Twitter handle here on the screen, and again, it's down below in the description box. Please follow them, send them a big thank you for this. So, there's some good stuff in here. There really is. So the audience Q&A, I asked what origin episode they would add. So, like, one about Forsaken, and would one go into Moraine and Lan's Bond? And Rafe said that would happen more deeply in Season 2. Now, another question from the fans in the audience was, fan community, Dragon Mount, false starts to the show adaptation. Rafe, you're involved in the community, fan reactions impact. So they're asking, how did our reactions impact the fans? And Rafe responded, fan community is huge. They feel the pressure of that. They try to keep the community in mind, but also make the show that works for everyone. Get reactions from fans as the show is created. Gut checks for adaptation. Most of the audience is brand new. So I've been saying this for about 2 years. Yes, fans of the books make up a portion of the audience, but we're a small portion of it. Probably the most vocal portion, but a small portion. The show has to work for everyone else. Amazon's and Sony's target audience is the rest of the world. So even though The Wheel of Time is a very hugely popular fantasy series, it does not have the legs that, say, Lord of the Rings has. We are not a niche group, I wouldn't say, but we're certainly not a massive fandom. So when the show came out, far more people who didn't read the books watched the show than people who read the books, if that makes any sense. So this kind of makes sense that he's saying that they're trying to include everyone in this. Question: existence if origin affects process of main series, steer away or into. Ray says, can't think of origins as something you have to watch. Show be welcoming in its own to many people, but it does deepen the connection to the show more. As in, the show is always understandable on its own. So this is one of the things we talked about earlier. It's not 100% required watching for the show, but I would definitely say it's something that I would recommend that people who haven't read the books before watch, because it gives people more of an understanding of things that are not explicitly talked about in the show. So in the first season, they didn't really talk about the One Power that much. They didn't talk about how the Waygates work. They didn't talk about objects of power, what happened with Moraine going into that fisherman's hut with Swan. None of that was really explained. The Origins did a good job of explaining some of that stuff, and I think going forward for Season 2, they're going to do more of that. I think that's what he's saying there. Oh, love the work of adaptation. What does it mean that Origins is coming out solo and not in Season 2? Craig says, fan community loves it. Let's take them off X-Ray to make them more accessible, share more content, more context, engage the community. So basically, this is, like I said earlier, one of those little tidbits they're giving us in between seasons to keep the fans engaged and happy, and more Wheel of Time content is good, in my opinion. Sword fighting moves taught to Rand. It's like a dance with swords. This is explored in the show or Origins. Ray says, Lan will say cat crosses the courtyard. There's pieces of book 1 and 2 in unexpected places across the whole series. Adaptation is important. So this is one of those things, we're going to see spots within the second season and beyond, probably just like we did in the first season, which are huge Easter eggs to the fans. So they're like fan service, pure fan service. We see it and we get excited as fans of the books. But they don't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but they make us happy. Like, I think Rand and Lan talking together, and Lan tells him to do cat crosses the courtyard. I'd geek out a little bit on that, but someone who hasn't read the book series would have no idea what that means. So I get that. Question: are they developing Lan more, including when he is down and out? Daniel says the biggest challenge to act in his life, Stefan's death, was a big swing. Low can go lower. Yes, it's exciting. Writers talk with them about what they're going to face as actors. Months to prepare for scenes. So that's super cool. Question: hoping for more badass moments of the series. How hard is it to explore relationships not seen in the books, like Moraine and Swan, Perrin and Egwene? Hardest thing to adapt. Rafe said people keyed into interpersonal relationships, so we lean into it. works well on TV. So we're probably going to see more and more relationships that are not exactly huge in the books, but they'll probably become huge in the show. That's my guess there. Not just romance, but Nynaeve and Rand are great. Lots of great scenes there. So yeah, so we're going to see tons of different people being together and how their relationships interact. Question, favorite character dynamic from the books, not necessarily that will be in the show. Daniel says, Lan and Rand looking forward to scenes together, Moiraine and Lan, Nynaeve and Lan. So this is interesting because Daniel just told us that there is going to be scenes with Lan and Rand together in the second season. So maybe, just maybe, we'll get some of that training. That would be super awesome. Question, how to choose on stories to focus on? Looking forward to one. And Rami Park says, the Age of Legends Origins episode. So there we go. We're going to get an Age of Legends Origins episode, which, again, like the Young Lan one, I'm super excited for all of them because they're really well done. So these are all of the questions and answers that Talitha said I managed to transcribe from the actual the panel. Pretty exciting. Now, like I said earlier, I'm hopefully going to have an actual recording of the panel put up on the channel here in the next day or two, and we'll be able to watch for ourselves and just kind of geek out and immerse into the fact that Rafe and Daniel and Rami are all answering questions about the series. That's super exciting to me. But let me know what you folks think. Now, I know a lot of people weren't totally keyed into the fact that they're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, but a lot of you were, like myself. And did this exceed your expectations, or did it fall a little flat? To me, personally, it exceeded my expectations, but let me know how you folks felt in the comments down below. I didn't think we'd hear anything about Season 3. We heard it was greenlit. I didn't think we'd hear anything about something in between the seasons, which we did. We're getting more origin stories. I didn't think we'd hear anything specifically related to the show, which we got in this AMA that was there. And then, of course, we get that behind the scenes, and we get the Twitter AMA last night, which, again, are separate videos that I'll do later on. All of that totally exceeded my expectations of what we thought we were going to get yesterday, and I'm blown away, and I'm very, very thankful to Sony and Amazon and Ray for doing this, because anything Wheel of Time to me is just a whole lot of fun. Anyway, thank you so very much for sticking with me here to the very end. Here's to many more.